Today is day 506 of Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you'd like to sponsor upcoming Shir of Arukh HaShulchan Yomi or more, please call me directly. Very greatly appreciated. Today we're supposed to be doing Shin Tez Zayin Hey through Yud, but for some reason, I'll stand myself. Last night I did Hey as part of yesterday's learning. So today we're going to start from Vav, and hopefully I'll remember actually to stop at Yud. Okay, sorry about that. I was wondering why it took so long last night, and now I realize because I did an extra sif. Vav, Hatzal Tzvi Yosheno Suma. If somebody traps a deer which is sleeping or is blind, Chayev. You're still Chayev. Mishnu Darkali Shamed. Because deer normally flee or try and get away when a person touches them. So it's trapping regardless. But if the deer is lame or sick or elderly, parts are exempt. They don't have the capacity and they don't try to get away. It's as if they are already caught and already trapped. For Ram adds gam cotton potter, even a fawn, I think they're called. Your potter, a small deer, evidently because wouldn't be darko lishamet. But the Arukh HaShulchan says, I don't know what the source is. The Mishnah Berurah says, however, that it's from the Yerushalmi, and which is shocking because the Arukh HaShulchan was a big buck in Yerushalmi, as we know. The Mishnah Berurah adds that a small deer is one that cannot yet run. That is from the Meiri. I guess that is very young. So back to the Arukh HaShulchan. Because again, maybe the Rambam he says right mitzad svara, but again, Mishnah Berurah found the Yerushalmi. Near the live daf could see it's not just the deer. It's true about all animals, and all birds. That if they are not, if they are lame or sick or elderly or young, then they're not going. It's not an issue of seder because they don't get away. But by fish doesn't really apply. There's no such thing as a lame fish. And also there's no such thing as an elderly fish, because the Gemara says, Gemara Shabbos, then one of the three things, the older they get, the stronger they get. One of the other ones is a chazir. I don't remember what the third one is. Maybe a nachash, maybe a snake. I don't remember. He says, that's also not relevant to have a young fish. To be actually done a lot, meaning when a fish is it says born, but of course we don't have the Hebrew word for how a fish is spawned. It's the same word, though it's not the same process. Shot up near mind, he can already swim, but needs to go and he has to be trapped. Also, evidently, there's no such thing as a sick fish. Because they're always swimming until they die, and it gets dropped to the bottom wherever they are. Zayin, v'da, you should know, the Gemara chilku ben choyle choyle. But it's interesting between different types of illness in these animals. According to Rashi, if it's an animal which has a fever, you're chayev. If it's an animal which is which is tired, then you are potter, right? So, in other words, an animal which has a fever, it's going to be feverish. It's going to run around. So, therefore, you're still chayev on seder. Animal which is sluggish as a result of the sickness, then you're going to be potter. For Amaylo Perish Achev said, I'm at a different interpretation. It's because of Magid Mishnah and Shom. The feel lochilek was said Ram did not draw such a distinction. But Rabbeinu Bey says a Gaki lochilek, if he says this Rashi, Rabbeinu says also does bring us the distinction of Rashi between types of illnesses. Between the Kennedy Rabban Asim Chol, and the reason is because since being Rabban, anyway, it's also to trap them, even if they're sick. Lochash lochalek, when this is told this Rabban was not concerned, the same between Issa the Raisa and Issa the Rabban. But so at time a tour gan came. There's also the logic of the tour. They don't clarify what's the fine points of what is the Raisa, what's the Rabbanan. So they say what's okay and what's not okay. That's only wrote the Lashon Brisa without any elaboration. He says in the brackets that have been two Shalom Yesh Toast Foods because of Yoshin Suma Chiger Chulei. So cancel my Yoshin Suma Chayav. Yoshin, because it's a different category. Sleeping and blind are not the same as lame, and therefore instead of saying sleeping, lame, blind, should be say sleeping and lame are La Chayav. Chiger is different. Okay, but he says evidently they had Turim which was properly published in the right way. Mr. Bialacha writes that what he writes we don't know. It just says that they wrote something about it. Ches calls Makosha mean or nitzot anything which is normally trapped. Chayav alav yulai ba'abat. For it say that Chosh Emin al nitzot anything which is not normally trapped. Zluvim, like flies, Yitushim, and mosquitoes, Chayetzibim, and similar things. You're exempt midoraiso. I feel even that you trap them for a purpose. Because they're not things which are trapped. I've also rabban still also rabban have less. I feel and if you want them without any apparent purpose, just for the heck of it, doesn't matter. They're still considered to be also the rabban. Can't just trap, even if they're deriving no benefit from it. So therefore, flies, even though they're not normally trapped, a certainly not allowed to trap them. Whether with one's hand, or by putting a cup on top of them. Therefore, you're not supposed to, you have to be careful not to close a small box when there flies inside. But a large box, it's not a problem. Because there, you still are not able to grab it. It's not considered nitzot. Need to be nitzot as my gam the true. If it was something which is normally trapped, it'd be also midrabanan at least to trap it in a larger area. But these things are not normally trapped. They were not so severe. Only by a small box or a small vessel. You have to be careful not to close them. You shouldn't have a secret ratio. Because if you close them, even though you didn't have in mind to trap the flies, it's inevitable you're going to trap the flies. There certainly will be caught there. Those who lean and said if you open the place where if you open the vessel, they'll immediately fly out before you can even grab them. So then that's not considered to be nitzot, and therefore it's okay. Shabur says if there's a small hole in the box, even though the flies can't see it so well, unless it's mutter because it's no longer secretion because they can get out through that hole. Okay, let's keep up. It says, certainly when you see that there flies in the vessel or in the box, you have to try and shoo them away before you close the box or the vessel. But it's a famous Taz, you don't have to look inside to see if there are flies there. I think it's called, if I recall correctly, that's called suffix secretion l'shavar. Because there was no obligation, there's no liability. No matter what. Test. You can put a stretch and awning over a beehive. In the heat, because the heat will come in the rain, because the rain, but actually, as long as you don't have a mind specifically to trap. In other words, if you leave a large hole, that the bees will certainly see the hole. Let's say, they go out there very readily. It's not relevant to tell a person in that case, don't have in mind to trap. Even has in mind to trap. There's no trapping because it's a big hole. Even if you don't leave a hole at all, so you can't get out at all. Then, on the other hand, even if you have in mind not to trap, you're still chayiv. Well, it still might be drabanan. Right? No matter what, they're by definition caught. It's an inevitable result. So even though there is no, they're not normally trapped, there has to be no obligation, no liability. Vein kind of daraisa, no Torah prohibition. Nevertheless, Isra Rabbanan yesh. There's Isra Rabbanan with Rabbanan also can't keep psik reisha, and Rabbanan also psik reisha is forbidden. Inevitable results are forbidden. The Mishnah Berurah says that also here. He says. No, he says that the bee, it seems that he says that bees are something which is trapped, but other poskim argue on him. For low time in the it's not like this, not the same like flies, according to those who permit that previous case. By flies, you have absolutely no advantage out of the out of trapping the flies. It's possible, on the contrary, they're going to ruin what's in the box. But bees go in beehives. That's the place for them, and you benefit from them. So therefore, but it's nichole. It's like flies might be a situation low nichole, but the bees are definitely situation nichole. Mishnah Berurah writes that flies are different. They're not called seder at all. Because they're so tiny, it's very prevalent that when you open the box, they're immediately going to fly out and won't be able to get them at all. So they're not really ever trapped. As opposed to a beehive, which is full of them, and they're a little bit larger, you can always grab some of them. And therefore it's called Seder. Interesting distinction. Okay, back to Arukh HaShulchan. But here we're mad here if he didn't have in mind to trap by the bees. And also if he has to leave a hole from the side. So it's not necessarily, they're not necessarily going to be trapped. Or that's not going to be because you should not put the awning, the covering on. It's taut. A briefing, but lightly. Then it's okay if you don't have a mind to trap. But if you have a mind to trap, it's definitely usher. Even though it's some opening because it's not tightly taut, but it's not really a true opening for them to go to leave from. Okay, there's a bracket there, but a cryptic one which we're going to skip. Yud. It's just Maramokum, basically. Yotani Tosefta, the Shabbos. We learned the Sefta, Tzabema, V'chayev Of. Somebody who traps an animal or a bird. Me'efer Shebershus Adam. From a, Efer is kind of like a, it's not ashes here, it's like a pasture area. If they're lacking trapping, Chayev, you're liable. If you trap them to a pasture, which is under your jurisdiction, if they're lacking trapping, putter, you're exempt. If you put a trap over an animal or a bird, they go into putter, you're exempt. If you put it to the animal and the bird, if they go into their chayiv. Somebody removes a animal or bird from a trap, putter is exempt. A little bit cryptic. Says that the Arukh HaShulchan nearly the Haki Perushos means that filu the afar makom mireh. I'm supposed to pronounce afar. The afar makom mireh to play a pasture, rachav, a broad one, migudar so with a fence all around it. V'atzad misham, somebody takes an animal from there. Aval bishlo yichlu atzei sham, even though they couldn't have left that area, because even to catch them there, they have to be pursued. Because it's a broad place. There was somebody who traps them from that afar or afer is chayev. which is Kasavnu Sifei, where it's a very broad place. So even if it was already there in that area, to take from that broad place is a chiyuv of tzad. But even going that we infer from the Rambam there that you're not liable. That's where a place which is medium sized. This afar is a large place. A very large place. The shop have it tzedek is definitely tzedek when you trap it from there. By inside lafar, if you're trapping to a pasture, patami the rights, exempt the rights, of course. Zelkof labais, it's like a bird into a house. It's for tracking, and at the end to a large hall. The parts of your example is receives kimmel. If somebody puts a net or trap over animals or birds, I'm sorry. He lays a trap for animals or birds to go in. Since they're not there. So the way he learns al gabe behemov chayavov is not when it's on top of them, but when they're not present. So even though coming afterwards, it's not midah Torah. It's also midah rabbanon because they're not there at the time you spread the net. But I've also rabbanon, it's a rabbinic prohibition. Now let's put up a net, a trap on Shabbos, even for mice. And also the trap itself is a complete muktzah. But the tatlo field took over coming. Now let's carry it even like a klishon lister you would let people out to carry for its purpose and for its place, for usage or for place. You don't use it for any other purpose except trapping. So therefore it is on the lowest level of muktzah, like stones. Or the worst level muktzah, like stones and like pebbles and stones. But says, so again, the Arukh HaShulchan has his interpretation here. So if the animal is standing there by the trap when you spread it, the animal goes in, chayiv, you're liable. Zel could say the mamish, because that is like true tzeda. Chayiv chatas, you're liable for chatas. But if you've been amazed, it is a chayiv skila. Nevertheless, and perhaps despite the fact that amazed, you're not bechayiv skila. If you didn't know it was going to definitely go in right immediately, is considered to be a shogeg. So interesting. There's no mazid in this case to make. Okay, that's interesting. Somebody who removes a bird or an animal from the trap. To super meaning they're already caught. Uvahu b'Shabbos and he came on Shabbos with pasach and pesach. It's an over them opening to go out. Oslesa Mitzura, he broke down the trap. So that's forbidden, but it is not the raisa. Like any other thing we destroy something on Shabbos, shapatim mirabana, shaosim mirabana is forbidden the rabbana. The chol dinei tosefta su hu halacha. Everything we just put down with the tosefta is halacha lemaisa. The rule says you'll have to open your house when you have a deer there, or remove it from its trap, as long as you don't carry it directly. Okay. Yeah.